This meeting is being recorded. Hello, everybody who's catching us on Catch Up on YouTube.
No, welcome. YouTube, sorry.
No, well, no, we're catching us on Catch Up on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right.
As
I was thinking Catch Up the condiment.
Well, we were just talking about eating bugs, but that's a whole different story. Okay, let's get this social started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Zoom social for the Winnipeg Worldcon in 23-bit. This event is being held, just for the YouTube folks to let them know, is being held on Saturday, June 12th, 2021, starting at around 8 p.m. CDT. And we'll be having another Zoom social tomorrow at 1:15 p.m. CDT with a similar format. I'm Lori E. Smith, and I'll be your host this evening as we explain our bid committee strategy, followed by an open Q&A session, which I will moderate. Our social today is small enough that we can allow folks to unmute their microphones to ask questions. On Zoom, there is also a raise hand function which you can use, and I will keep an eye on the chat to relay any questions from there. And now Terry Fong, hello Terry, is our bid committee chair. So at this point, I'll turn the meeting over to him. Terry, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Terry Fong. I started this bid to bring the Worldcon to Winnipeg for 2023. And I just wanted to say, I'm very happy to bring it back to Winnipeg. My first staff position at a Worldcon was at the last Winnipeg Worldcon in 1994. I was just staff, but still, it was what started me on my long road to decadence. Excuse me. I've been a long time con runner. My first con that I helped run was in the 80s, and I've been a long time con runner at the Worldcon level way too many times, in my opinion, and I suspect in many people's opinion. And I really want to bring it back to Winnipeg. That's all I have to say for now.
Would any of the other committee members like to say something at this point?
Yeah, one of the reasons that we picked Winnipeg was, let's face it, Winnipeg tourism gave us a really good offer.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, they remember us from 1994 and they really want us back. So we didn't want to turn it down, quite frankly.
Yeah, if you go to our website and look at our bid documents, you'll see letters from our mayor, from the hotel industry, from the RBC Convention Center, and from a whole bunch of other people basically saying, yes, we want you to come to Winnipeg. You know, we are going to put ourselves behind this 100%. So we have a lot of Winnipeg's, in a sense, infrastructure, which is behind this bid as well.
Well, not just the Winnipeg tourism infrastructure, but we have a great response from Winnipeg fandom, yes, such as yourself and Linda and all of the other people that we met at the most recent virtual KeyCon, still so correlating it. So, but we do have quite a bit of local support.
Yeah, and as I was explaining to Sean, for those who are just joining, hello, and hello, Kevin, just joining us. Winnipeg has a very, very diverse and lush fan scene. We have a lot of different fanish groups and they're very active. We usually have an event at least once a month here in Winnipeg that is fanish. It could be anything from a Japanese pop culture show to a major Comic Con to KeyCon, which celebrated year 38 this year, which is our science fiction fantasy convention, to our furry convention, which just started, to a Transformers convention, to a steampunk event, and so on. There's a lot of diversity here that I think could bring a lot of richness to a Worldcon.
Linda has a question for you.
Yeah, my main question was, why this year, not next or 25? Mainly because this is going to be Memphis. I think I got the right town.
Yep, it's Memphis versus Memphis and Chengdu, China.
Right. And so I'm just wondering, is it because of the tourist and other support was for this year? You want to get stuff off going to post-COVID, or was there, or was 24 a bad year? I'm just curious because I suspect the people in Memphis are probably banging their head against the wall now.
Terry, what do you have to say about that?
I think it's just a good year to go, and frankly, I believe in sprint bids. Why not, right? So, and you can't get much more sprintier than this. We only have to bid for 6 months. And people have heard of Winnipeg, and people had a good experience in '94.
And yet it is a chance for us to invite a new generation to rediscover Winnipeg.
Yeah.
94 was a long time ago. It's hard for me to imagine because I was there. I was deputy chair, but it is very much a long time ago for people.
Yeah, but also, Kevin, there's also my first experience as a staff member at the Worldcon level as well. So I can blame Winnipeg for my downfall.
No, it's a city with an awful lot of heart, and not just an awful lot of fan activity, but a lot of activity in general. We're a tremendous cultural center for anything from the dramatic arts to symphony orchestras to, we hold one of the largest folk festivals in North America, close to Winnipeg. And we have some tremendous, A-list performers at various venues around the city, a tremendous live band bar scene. There's a lot here that isn't just fanish. If you go to the first Twitch TV episode, you will hear me on Twitch, on the Winnipeg and 23 Twitch TV station. You will hear me describe exactly what Winnipeg has to offer, and it's lots. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the heck Twitch is, I saw that listed and I went, oh, okay.
It's free.
Is that the anime one?
No, it's mostly actually gamer. Actually, a lot of gamers use Twitch, but it's also good. But it's also good for podcast type stuff, which is what we're kind of using it for at the moment. And it's free, and it's free to watch. You don't have to have a membership to watch the videos on Twitch. You just have to have a membership in order to comment on the videos.
Okay, I got it mixed up with Crackle, which has a subscription to it.
Oh, I've never heard of Crackle.
Crackle's usually free, but it's ad supported.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, you can also catch, if going to Twitch and learning a new platform is not your jam, and I know some days it's certainly not my jam, you can also go to our YouTube channel, and the first Twitch TV episode is up on the YouTube channel as well.
And I just put a link in the chat.
Tremendous, thank you.
And how many rooms are going to be reserved for if Winnipeg gets it? How many rooms are we talking about at the moment?
Hotel rooms or?
Yeah, hotel rooms.
The number is in the bid documents. Does anyone have it on?
We're looking at 17 to 1800 is our, probably a little bit hot, probably gonna be a little bit lower than that, but 1800 is what we targeted.
Okay.
The hotel in Worldcon in Washington, D.C. had 7 total. This is their hotel, the only one in the area for DisCon, 7 total roll-in showers. What is the hotel situation for those who need, I have a roommate who needs accessibility. What is the hotel situation like if we can't get that in the Delta?
I don't know offhand. Linda? The other Linda?
The Radisson has some. Marlborough has a few. I believe that the Holiday Inn at Portage and Balmoral also has some. I was going to ask Annie on Monday when she's back at work at Winnipeg Tourism to give us a total number of accessible rooms, because there are different hotels than were there for 94. So I don't have the stats in front of me right away, but I will be getting them on Monday and we'll post them as soon as we have them.
Well, what's the Delta like? We may not even have to worry about it.
Delta is not bad. And also on your, because of where it's located, it's literally, there's the side street is of the convention center has a crosswalk that goes right into the Delta Hotel at the 2nd floor level. So you don't even have to go out down to street level. You just go to the 2nd level and go straight across.
Well, like I said, if you have a scooter, which my friend has, you cannot really ride in the rain. No, and so you have to avoid weather. And when I was in Winnipeg in 94, of course it's 94 and the world has changed. I don't remember it raining once, so it may not have much rain in August.
Actually, I can address that one because it was something I kept going on about as a member of the committee. As it turned out, that particular week, was about as average for long-term averages in the month of August as Winnipeg would ever get to. The whole period of time, a 20% chance of rain, with the highs between somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees Celsius. That was exactly where there was. And it did in fact rain one of the 5 days. So the 20% chance of rain. That is the reason why we had a fire alarm in the Place Le Real, which no longer exists, but the rain caused a short up in the top of the hotel and a small fire started and the alarms went off. And I had to evacuate from that. But as I was head of WSFS as well, and I told the people around me, I said, don't worry, the hotel will not burn down. And they said, how can you tell? And I said, because we took all of the site selection stuff, and instead of just like carrying it to our rooms, it was stored in a nice, safe, fireproof, safe deposit box. So we've made our offering to Murphy, so nothing wrong will happen. And nothing did. All the money, all the ballots, nice and safe, and we took care of it. I note, by the way, that there are other hotels. They're just not that close. They're in D.C., by the way. From the Omni, for example, the Washington Hilton is 1,300 meters, which is, I'd have to put in miles.
About 9/10.
8/10 of a mile, yeah.
8/10, yeah.
Yeah, and again, if it's raining, my friend can't take her scooter, and the taxis and stuff cannot easily accommodate her. But we managed to get a not a roll-in room, but a room at least with grab bars in Washington, D.C. Yes. So what we'll do again is, if you have accessibility doing your hotel rooms, that's usually a great way for cons to make sure those people who need those rooms get them, because they block those rooms off. And as the accessibility committee gets the requests, then the rooms are allocated to the people who need them.
Yeah.
I will interject here that Leamber, who is going to volunteer for us on the committee, is a specialist, and correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, in working with rehabilitation for people, correct?
Correct.
Winnipeg also has at least one taxi service, which part of it, a fairly significant part of its fleet is for people with wheelchairs and other accessibility issues.
Other questions?
I'll pose a question. So if rain isn't a problem, is fire season an issue for Winnipeg?
Not at that time of year. Not at that time of year. In the spring, like in early summer, the farmers will sometimes burn the stubble in their fields because Winnipeg is in the middle of the prairies. And so basically you'll sometimes get a little bit of smoke in the air around that time, but usually in August, that's all, it's all over.
Unless BC is on fire, and then we get some weird sunsets and the occasional smoke sent from there, because it's only 3 provinces away.
Yeah, only 3 provinces away.
Half the country away. But it still comes our way.
We thought there was a fire burning in our county, and it was 3 counties over. So that stuff travels, and it got clear over to Reno. So,
but you
3
wouldn't
provinces
expect
away.
You wouldn't expect something like Spokane and Winnipeg.
No.
Yeah, Spokane was pretty smoky.
Which made Spokane one of its elements. It's the first time that a Worldcon has ever been held in a federally declared disaster area while that disaster was going on. Because Spokane County was a declared disaster area, because the fire was at the edge of the fire was only 7 miles away. So
and the smoke was there.
I kept checking the airport.
Fires plural. I think there were 12 of them, and basically in a ring around the city. So didn't matter which way the wind was blowing.
No, Winnipeg doesn't get anything like that.
I kept getting on the internet to make sure flight ops were going on at the airport. That was what I was mainly concerned about, what was affecting the airport. Winnipeg, the last time I was there, is a larger, I don't know how many people it has, but it's the largest city.
765,000,
it's
more or less.
How many?
765,000 more or less.
Okay, it's bigger than my county. So a fire is not going to burn on from a nearby forest or field into the town. You're not going to have that effect. You may get smoke, but you're not going to get a burn over like you can.
Well, part of it is because Winnipeg has what's called the perimeter highway, which surrounds the whole city with, like, I think the perimeter highway is like 8 lanes wide. So, you know.
Well, our 8-lane freeway didn't keep it out of Santa Rosa, but that's a different issue.
Yeah.
You have a lot more. You have a
also
lot more forests.
We had more burnable stuff.
You have a lot more stuff in that county. I'm the child of a Forest Service officer, and I lived in the forests growing up. You know, so I've had that kind of experience. Much of Northern California.
Got four rivers that coordinate and come into Winnipeg. There's the Assiniboine, the Red River, which comes from the south up through the north.
The Seine.
The Seine River, and Oman's Creek comes in, and things like that. You know, we've never had a fire rage through or even that close to the city. We've got occasional grass fire, but that's about it.
And what you get from the grass fire is just, you know, kind of a smoky smell in the air. It never actually gets close enough to be any danger to, you know, the city in any way.
It's a nice, safe city. It's flat. There are no hills. There's no.
The way my husband puts it is that any natural disaster in Winnipeg, you can pretty much just walk away from.
What I noticed flying over when I flew to the place was you could have taken a piece of plywood, a 1 million acre piece of plywood, and painted it different colors, and you'd have the terrain. I come from a place that has bumps in it.
Yeah,
so it was kind of eerie.
You've got to remember that basically where Winnipeg is used to be the lowest bottom lake of Lake Agassiz when there was an inland sea.
Yes.
Okay.
And so basically carved out by a glacier, essentially.
Glaciers, yeah. That's
yes.
right.
Aren't you about as far as the Ice Age made it into North America? That it didn't.
It went further south.
It went further south.
It came down here.
Yeah. I live on Long Island, which is a glacial moraine, where the glacier travel into the ocean is where I live.
Right.
Yeah.
So Winnipeg was in the middle of that big glacier during the Ice Ages.
The really cool part of a lot of buildings in Winnipeg, though, is they're made out of locally mined Tyndallstone. And if you look at a Tyndallstone building, there's little tiny fossils in it everywhere.
Yes,
everywhere.
You can do a tour of the legislature building, and they will show you all the fossils. And that doesn't mean the politicians.
No.
I was going to say, are the fossils in the assembly room or on the walls?
Both.
Yes.
Both. The nice thing about the legislature building, I'll just put in a quick pitch for this, is that they do. Our legislature was designed by a Hermetic adept who believed that sacred geometry could make Manitobans into better people. And Frank Albo, who is a Canadian architectural, basically, I guess you could call him, forensic pathologist, went through the whole building and picked out all of the Hermetic symbolism. He explained it all, and now there's a tour and a book about it. So you can go through our legislature.
Book about it?
Yep, it's called. Actually, let me. I have to lean past my.
Usually, I don't get time during Worldcon to do elaborate.
The Hermetic Code Tour. Nice, big, beautiful hardcover book. And it summarizes a lot of the tour points.
Yeah, because usually during Worldcon, I get too busy and I realize I cannot take that 90-minute tour, even though I can get an. I assume you have Uber and Lyft.
But you can buy a copy of the book.
Yeah, I assume you have Uber and Lyft.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Well, we have Uber. I don't know, but has Lyft managed to set up yet?
I think it just did.
If you have Uber, it doesn't matter. I just choose whichever one has the nearest car or whatever, the cheapest price.
Another good thing about Winnipeg is that literally a 5-minute bus ride from about a 10-minute bus ride and about a 5-minute car ride from the convention center, we have a great big Sobeys. And I don't know if you guys have
what?
Great big Sobeys grocery store.
Oh.
So I don't know if you guys have Sobeys down there, but if you find yourself suddenly in need of something and it's grocery related, you can just like zip over to Sobeys and get it and zip right back to your hotel.
Yeah, it's too early to ask about corkage fees and corkage and porkage probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Because I think grocery store folks get their party goods because people are flying in, they can get to this grocery store and get what they need.
Oh, and and right next to the grocery store is a liquor mart.
So package stores, okay.
Yeah. You guys don't have liquor marts where you are?
We have.
Is the liquor, is it a provincial monopoly?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be. Okay, that's one of the things. It's one of those. California, where Linda is, does not do that. It just issues liquor licenses. But Manitoba is one of those states. Yeah, different stores as long as they have a liquor license. Of course, where I live up here in Northern Nevada, if you have gambling devices in your place that serves liquor, you can serve liquor round the clock.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That is the reason why bars in Nevada, many of them have slot machines in them, not to make any money off slot machines, because if they didn't have the slot machines, they would have to close during certain hours of the night.
Well, there you go. I'd like to just take a moment and say hello to Diane, who has just joined us. Hello, Diane. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to unmute and ask.
I actually have a question. I remember anticipation, the dealer's room was sort of bare because there were problems bringing merchandise into Canada at the time. Is that still going to be an issue if we get the bid for 23?
I'll let Linda and Terry address that.
It's going to depend very much upon what how many dealers want to come in out of the U.S. In our situation, we have to reach a certain level in order to be declared a duty-free zone temporarily during the convention. And that's a little tricky to meet. But, you know, and it all depends on what they want to sell. You know, some stuff has high duties on it, such as fine jewelry and, you know, silver and gold and gemstones. Whereas someone who's doing things with copper wire and polished pebbles wouldn't have a problem. You know, it all depends on what they're wanting to sell, and that's why we have a brokerage firm on tap. And we say, you don't have to use the same brokerage firm, but they're familiar with the products we're talking about most of the time for a Worldcon, so we recommend them.
Linda, do you happen to know what the what stuff is like when it comes to things like costuming stuff? Dresses, capes, that kind of thing.
If it's your personal stuff you're bringing in to present as part of the costume, that's one thing.
I was speaking of dealers.
Dealers, it very much depends on what things are made of. Okay. Usually when you're dealing with fabrics and things like leather, you do have to have the correct labeling on them. You can't just sort of put it there and say, well, it's made of cloth. You have to say it's got, you know, so much rayon or so much silk or so much whatever. You have to know the percentage of the cloth that you've made the costumes with if you're selling them.
Well, how many Canadian dealers do you think you'll get that are not affected? Or does this also affect Commonwealth countries? Although not many dealers would come from the Commonwealth, but well, this won't affect Canadians. I don't remember the dealers room being bad. I got a lovely cloak, which happened to be from a US dealer there. That's the one thing I remember buying. I still have the cloak. But wouldn't you get enough Canadian dealers that we wouldn't notice this deficit from the US dealers?
It depends if you're looking for a particular dealer. You know, they'll, you know, if you're looking for some particular book dealer or some particular costume dealer, they may decide not to come because they don't want to have to deal with the various and sundry vagaries of trying to go through customs both ways.
Yeah, NAFTA didn't work the way it was advertised. NAFTA almost made it worse.
I will say that I don't recall the 94 dealers room being particularly small, and the Masquerade was definitely not small.
The Masquerade was amazing at 94.
Yes. Had one of my favorite entries, and the entry was actually 4 entries and was a Worldcon bid.
It was about, and the last, and the very, it was to the tune of The Man Who Never Returned.
Yeah, yeah.
And Charlie the very last,
by the way, Charlie on the MTA is the other name for it.
Yep. And the very last line that everyone sang lustily together was, vote for Boston, in 98.
And I actually wrote on the MTA once, and that's when I discovered the main failure of public transportation. Going at like 7:30 in the afternoon or something, and you go to your destination. A lot of those systems close at 10 or 11, so I went to a movie, and thankfully it was walking distance.
Well, there you go.
Well, Winnipeg, at least currently, most of the major downtown bus lines run past midnight, some past 1. So,
And
I mean,
for hotels, we'll probably be doing an evening shuttle.
Yeah.
Do a pub crawl.
Yeah, masquerade culture, by the way, in the 90s was a big different than it is today. So I'm not sure we necessarily have such a huge mask. That was back in the days when the masquerade entries you could not duplicate people. And that actually made that 4-part entry that much more challenging, because they had the same character appearing in all 4 sketches. Each of them had to be portrayed by a different person.
Yep.
And I think it was Donald Eastlake was the anchor Charlie in the 4th and final entry, which that's how come we have. But that leads to one of the reasons why we have a Worldcon master costumer as one of our regulars who chairs the WSFS business meeting as well. For anybody who thinks business meeting fans are stuffy, go look at who.
I've been to enough furry events. I am well aware that costuming does not equal stuffy.
Well, yeah, the point of people, the business meeting fandom is, they're all too serious and circonus. And now you haven't actually been paying attention, have you?
That is one group that I'm hoping to bring in to the Worldcon fold, if we, in 23, is the local furry community, because it's widespread across Manitoba. And I went to their first convention just to support them. By the end of the day, I made like 10 new friends, and now I'm on their convention committee, and they're just wonderful people, tremendously talented, and I think they would bring a lot of, color and energy and vibrancy.
So for the Winnipeg bid here, tell us how you think Winnipeg would compare to Anticipation in Montreal some years back.
Pretty close, actually, except our hotel might be a little less tricky to work with, because we have doubled our convention center space to what we had in '94. And we have a lot of downtown restaurants and things like that. And
a lot of dollar stores and things like that as well in the downtown area.
Yeah.
Well, and culturally, we're quite different, Winnipeg from Montreal. I mean, Montreal, let's face it, is very French, and Winnipeg is not.
No, that is not quite true. Winnipeg has St. Boniface.
But that's not in the center.
No, it actually kind of is. It's very close to the center. Side. No, it's very close to the center.
The other side of the river.
The other side of the river, and you're in St. Boniface from downtown. St. Boniface is another 5-10 minute ride from downtown.
Yeah, but
Manitoba has the largest French-speaking population outside of Quebec's, and Winnipeg has the largest French-speaking for a population for a city outside of any Quebec city.
Yeah, but
okay, so now I have to ask on behalf of my daughter who's at a dinner party, if we have all this French influence, can you get good croissants in Winnipeg?
Oh yes, you can. Oh yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Oh my. There are a number of little bakeries, little like artisanal bakeries in Winnipeg. I live just up the street from one called the Penny Loaf Bakery. They make the most to die for croissants.
Maybe
as good as
but definitely croissants.
Yeah.
Is any of the Toronto culture there? I about ate the city out of brisket. That was the best brisket I had ever had, was in Toronto.
Toronto?
Yeah, it was there's a lot of Jewish people there. It was delicious.
Yeah. Speaking as a Torontonian, I need to know where you got that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Toronto's not known for their brisket. Are you sure you're not?
Well, it was some sort of beef. It was some sort of beef that was served cold. It was delicious. It was not processed at all.
Winnipeg has a number of very good steak and meat-related restaurants, including Ray and Jerry's near Polo Park, which is about a 20-minute ride from downtown, and Bailey's Steakhouse, which is in the heart of downtown and is about a 10-minute walk, maybe, from the convention center. They're both expensive, but the food is amazing. but I don't know if either of them does brisket. I know they both do prime rib, which is worth every single penny you pay for it.
Yum.
Yep.
So tell us about the microbrewery scene, if there is one.
Oh yes. Oh my. Oh yes. I am guest liaison for a pair of DJs who hopefully will be coming to KeyCon in 2022. And one of the things we're planning for them is to, when they come into their room, on their bed, they're going to find, like, you know, a whole beautiful little curated collection of microbrewery bottles. Because there's a lot of microbrewery action here in Winnipeg. And at the Forks, I don't know what month of the year they have this in, but at the Forks, which is at the Forks of the Assiniboine and Red Rivers, the Forks is like a big shopping and kind of entertainment complex. And they have microbrewery kind of little tours where you join their event and you get to taste all these microbrewery offerings in the course of like an afternoon. So the culture is alive and well.
Even after COVID, we've still got breweries that are doing all sorts of wonderful things.
Okay, Canada beer is sort of an equals sign sort of in there a little bit. So I'm not surprised at all.
One Canadian beer equals about a 6-pack of Coors.
Yeah.
Oh no, please! I don't drink horse piss. Okay, they bottle it in Colorado. It's probably equivalent. We have really good microbrewery here, but I'm certain Canada, what you think of. We used to drink the is it Molson's, the one with the head and antlers above the other. We used to drink all kinds of Canadian beer in attempts to find something resembling beer in the United States until we got our own microbreweries.
Yeah, it's you know, if you want to go for the larger company, there's Moosehead and there's Molson's and Molson's Canadian and things like that.
And there used to be Carling Old Stock, which is now no longer available here, which my husband cries about to this day because it's his favorite beer.
But you know, we've got some of the microbreweries here are doing quite well. There's a company that's called Fort Garry Ale.
Yes.
And they do very well. And then there's been about 4 or 5 smaller microbreweries opening up the last 4 or 5 years. So it's quite the option.
Yeah, I mean, even with COVID, the microbrewery market is still booming. So yeah.
Well, Russian River wasn't hit that bad in Sonoma County by COVID. They just sold their beer in glass instead of having us line up for it. So
Sherry, oh sorry, go ahead.
Microbreweries survived pretty well where I lived. Some of the restaurants didn't, but the microbreweries survived.
We have a question from Sherry, which is, how's the cider offerings?
I know about that.
Yay!
I love cider. We do import cider from BC as well as Ontario, but we also make some here. You have to be a little bit careful. If anybody offers you Dead Horse cider, it is quite strong. Delicious, but quite strong. But yeah, there's a number of different ciders available in the city.
I'm not sure if we have anybody making mead professionally, but we should.
Well, I've seen a couple of things, so possibly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see it sold under the term honey wine. So if you're looking for mead and you're fooling around on a website in Winnipeg, and you almost have to check for honey wine also.
Yeah, I've seen that at the liquor marts. Definitely.
But it's not common. Even I'm in a wine country and there is some meaderies, but not very many. I think it just hasn't made, I think it's just not, it's a SCA thing almost.
Linda, Sherry has said thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I see a cat photobomb.
Yeah, Sean has a cat.
Sean has a big poofy cat from the look of it.
Yes, I do.
Poofing around, is it a Maine Coon?
He looks like he would be part, and maybe somewhere in the background history, there's some Maine Coon there, but it's not a lot. He's not like half or full, or he's not big enough.
He's just a
cat like that.
He does look like one.
Oh man.
Very,
now see now
you'll notice there's 2 chairs here, and he has the more official chair.
See, I have a towel right next to me on this side. Actually, I'm just gonna pick her right up. You little girl, come on. There we go. She's half asleep. And meow, she says, put me back on my towel. Thank you. But yeah, it isn't a Zoom meeting if there isn't a pet photo bomb at some point.
Right.
Absolutely. That's
Or a
become
dog bark when you don't.
now. If you're
Or a
having a
dog-
seminar.
A lawyer disguised as a cat. We had that one once. Where, have folks outside the States seen the famous video of the lawyer who accidentally had the cat face filter on?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and the judge was trying to tell him how to turn it off, and he couldn't figure it out. I'm really a lawyer,
how
Your
to get
Honor.
mine to work. I think I must have an old, maybe the Mac version doesn't work or something. I couldn't find that how to put the filter on mine. Maybe that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, Mary, you were saying something that I didn't quite catch.
Oh, I was just saying that it's become de rigueur now that if you're having any sort of meeting or session, you've got to have like your pets making an appearance. And I just have to point out that Con Zealand is, as far as I'm aware, the only Worldcon where the guests of honor could bring their pets and have them as part of their.
Oh,
Misty and Larry had their parrots with them.
Cool.
Wow.
And they were, here's my parrot.
And they had to be locals, otherwise everything's quarantined coming and using into the island countries, even quarantined coming into Hawaii. So
It was virtual.
But yeah, they quite enjoyed introducing us to all their.
Jen. Sorry, Janny just posted into the chat. Thank you for mentioning this, Janny. If you miss your cat while you're in Winnipeg, there is a cat cafe here in Winnipeg. Miss J Law's Fur Babies Cat Cafe and Adoption Center, where there are scores of friendly cats just waiting to cuddle with you. And that is a 10-minute bus ride away from downtown Winnipeg. Again, it's very close.
I just liked their page. That was a good reference.
Oh, I deal very closely with them because as an artist, I do a lot, and as a tarot reader, I do a lot of charity work to help them raise money because right now COVID has completely shut their doors. And they're so dedicated. And once they are open again, a totally adorable place to go and have like a snack and a cup of coffee or tea and a cat.
I know it's early. I mean, this is a couple of years from now, so it's not really an issue, but how are you guys doing with COVID? Or what's your vaccination rate? I think California's up over 50%, so we're pretty happy. Manitoba just hit, was it 70? Oh, wow. For first shot, but that's for first shot. It's still. I think it's 70 for, I think it's over 70 for the first shot and over 35 for the second.
I'm getting my second shot at the end of June. I'm all excited.
My husband is getting his second shot on June 23rd, and I'm getting my second shot on July 15th. So. Yeah, because I think California largely is going to be maskless, except for public transportation and a few other, hospitals and things like that. You know, a lot of people that I've talked to in fandom around the world are saying they're kind of thinking about continuing the mask thing because con crud, right? Right. That would cut down con crud a lot. I'll have to get a nice little science fiction mask. Maybe I'll see if one of my fan clubs has something that looks nice. We have a Winnipeg creator called, her Facebook page is Enchanting Fabrications, and she does Fanish masks. Cool.
Perhaps we should ask her to do one with our logo on it.
Bingo. Oh. Yeah. Then we could.
That's. As you may have noticed when I walked away to get another drink, I was the photo of me there is wearing the mask from Worldcon 74 in Tonopah. Mm-hmm. So we are selling those through Zazzle. So yeah, and I am continuing to wear a mask because the air is just thick with cottonwood pollen right now. Yeah. So even though I'm fully vaccinated. So.
I happen to really like your logo that you're showing right now, the one with all the different, the combo. I didn't even know this flag existed until I watched a San Francisco game, Giants game. Oh, baseball, you don't have it. Okay. Your team is in another part. That's a beautiful logo, but is that just being used for pride? Week or Pride Month. That's a beautiful logo. Your Winnipeg with all the gay
and the moose. That I believe that's the Ally flag.
That's beautiful. Is that what that's called? That's beautiful.
I think it's the Ally flag. Jani would be able to say for certain, but I'm pretty sure that's the Ally flag.
That logo on something that would be
Sorry,
beautiful.
my mute thing wasn't working very well. Yes, Phoenix Kasky, our graphic artist, created this just for us. She made that, and
gorgeous.
And you could have heard her cursing about how to, you know, meld all those colors and get the moose to still stand out and not blend into anything.
Yeah, because the Giants didn't do a good job. They did their SF with it, but they put the black and brown at the top of the S, and their hat is normally black. So the top part of their S disappeared. They did the black, brown, and then the rainbow colors, and they should have put the black in the middle.
Jani just posted a link. Jani just posted a link to the chat for Enchanting Fabrications. So if anybody would like to check them out, there's the link to their site in the chat. Yeah, because they're one thing that I personally, I'm very glad to see that we have a diversity person on the bid committee for Winnipeg in 23, because as a as a gender fluid individual myself, diversity is important. KeyCon just a couple of years ago introduced the write your own pronoun on your badge function, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I've been trying to find buttons that look nice that say, even though I'm cisgendered, I figure it's part of solidarity for me to put a badge saying she, her, but I haven't found a nice looking one. Maybe the con can come up with something itself.
There is an SCA, I can ask a friend of mine. There is an SCA person who works in pewter who does pewter gender buttons with, and so on. It's very, very nice. If you, Linda, if you want to look me up on Facebook, I'm LoriSmith.121, I believe. Then I can try and put you in touch with my friend, who in turn can put you in touch with the pewter badge maker. Because I mean, they're not very big. They're only about like the size of this little pendant I'm wearing, but they're pewter. They're going to last pretty much forever.
And that's big enough for someone to see, or you put it on your badge, or,
Yeah.
Can people, okay, I guess people can hear me now. I've changed microphones here because my wife, Lisa, is sitting over here. Lisa doesn't like being on camera that much, although maybe Kuma Bear will put it.
That's exactly, my husband is exactly the same.
Kuma Bear loves the camera. Hello to Kuma.
Hello.
Hi, Kuma.
Hey, Kuma.
I changed things to the speaker as well. So.
Well, I think we covered the beer side of things. Do you have local people doing specialty sodas, non-alcoholic?
Pick a Pop is big here, which is a locally produced specialty line of sodas. Linda, I just put my Facebook link into the general chat for you.
Oh, good. I was checking Facebook and realizing there's probably 50,000 Lori Smiths.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I was looking, one had a mutual friend, so it could have been you because, fandom.
Yeah, fandom, exactly. No, Pick a Pop is the one that comes immediately to mind. They're widely available and they are a specialty soda. There's also a place downtown, but I don't know if it'll still be around in 2023, called Tia's. It is a TEEYAH''S. It is a specialty candy store, just what you need during Worldcon. And it sells a number of very unique sodas, including they just put up an ad for celery soda, which I'd never heard of before, and I'm not sure I want to.
It could be okay.
I'm just trying to imagine it. Linda, if you sent me a friend request, I don't know where it went. It popped up and then went away.
And just to continue the beverage theme, is there a local tea scene? Does anybody do high tea or green tea or something?
Yes, there is at least, I believe the Hotel Fort Garry has a high tea. but I'm not sure if it's every like weekend or not. Okay, Linda just confirmed you. Linda, do you know of anybody locally who does high teas?
There's a shop. It's out. I think they moved it out to St. James, which is called the High Tea Shop.
Yeah. If you're thinking of the one on Portage Avenue, that's the one that popped to my mind. Yeah. Portage Avenue is our main east-west drag, so easy bus service, tons of buses going by every few minutes.
Yeah. And then there was a place that was down in the Exchange District, but I'm not sure if they're still running or not. Things with COVID, it makes it very hard to find places to go to because so many things have been shut down, and they probably won't open up fully until late August, early September, according to the projections from our government.
Oh,
provincial government.
One thing I should mention that Winnipeg does have is its own maid cafe, its own Japanese maid cafe, which according to people I've spoken to who have gone there, they produce dinners and lunches just like a Japanese housewife would make for her own family. And if you want sushi, Winnipeg has sushi. We have so many sushi shops. And oh man.
We have many, many places to make many different cuisines.
And I mean, anywhere from like the standard like stuff that Americans would recognize, like Red Lobster, Olive Garden, that kind of thing. A&W we have here, but we also have Salisbury House, which is a Winnipeg thing. You have to have one of their burgers, which are called nips. They are out of this world. And so yeah, we have a very, very, very culinary scene.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that unlike Helsinki, saunas are probably not a big thing in Winnipeg.
People have saunas.
There's a sauna in the Radisson Hotel.
There's also
hotel guests use.
There's also a place called Therma.
They're not going to have the temperature level that a Finnish sauna has.
Well, that's going to be very, very Finnish phenomenon.
Yeah, so there's a few spas that might be of use to people.
Like I say, Therma being the one that immediately popped into my mind.
Yeah.
Have you thought about how long programming hours are going to be and whether you're doing a 50-minute or an hour and 15-minute block typically?
It will depend on what people who are doing programming ask for. Like if someone needs a 2-hour block, then we might be able to accommodate them. And readings, of course, will be shorter and things like that. But usually we're sort of looking towards doing the standard 50 minutes, 50, and then 10 minutes to change spaces for most people.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to comment that WisCon here in Madison, back when we were holding them in person, went to 75-minute slots and 15 minutes to change. And that historically has worked fairly well for us, but opinions can vary.
Harder to scale that up to a Worldcon level. You know,
Helsinki did it, but they had to because they were so spread out. You had to have a lot of time to transfer between buildings to get to the next program item.
Since I think almost everything will be taking place in the Winnipeg Convention Center, that would be less of an issue, even with the expansion of the convention center.
It's not as big as London.
Lisa just said it's not as big as the XL Convention Center in London. Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, although Kansas City, it was quite a trek from one end to the other at that convention center. So
we use that because when we're talking about our WesterCon coming up in Tonopah, you can fit most of the town of Tonopah inside the XL Convention Center, or at least the downtown section of the convention of the hotel of the town would fit inside that convention center in London. No, I don't. Looking at the maps, I don't think Winnipeg's not that big.
That XL Center was absolutely massive, not even factoring in the hotels that were part of the same huge complex.
We were staying at the Crown Plaza, which meant that when we walked from the down to the other end of the convention center, the XL, we were halfway to the Crown Plaza. We could have
Right
used
after the door.
travelators would have been a really good thing. That would have, like at an airport.
It had 2 subway stops. You could have gone, you know, down and hopped on the train.
If it weren't for the fact that the way that you got to and from the light rail stops, you walked almost as far to have to go up to the stop and then reverse it to go back. You're right, though. We did try it. Actually, it turns out because it's left-hand running, if you were going from the XL to the hotel, it was faster to go. But if you were coming the other way, you had so much around the houses that it didn't work. Lisa and I are train buffs, so you know, therefore we give thought to that sort of thing.
Did you see in the Twitch? I don't know if you saw the Twitch TV episode I did, where I talked quite a bit there about the train scene in Manitoba.
Yes,
and in Winnipeg in particular, and there's a lot of it.
Yes.
Including the vintage Prairie Dog Central Railway, which is a vintage car from like turn of the century.
Lisa did not get to come with me to Winnipeg last time, but I did come early and I took the Prairie Dog Central, so we'll have to change that. One of our plans is, should you win, is we're intending to have days after the convention. We're going to take the former Hudson Bay Northern Spirit, the train up to Churchill.
Oh,
and
yes.
I now have 2 other people. Linda wants to come too. 2 other people I know, and I can't name one of them because it would be too biasing toward the election. But there's a total of 4 of us I know of who want to make that trip up to Churchill. I think it only runs twice a day, or twice a week rather. So, but I think the thing is, we take it's like 2 nights on the train up there, and then we spend 2 days there and come back on the next train.
Did you know, and this is a bit of trivia about Churchill, that this I have heard from people who have been to Churchill, that they don't lock their car doors in Churchill, and there's a very good reason why. Because at any moment, a wild polar bear might appear.
And so you know, you can jump in a car to get away from a polar bear. That's good to know, actually.
Yep.
Well, yes. Where are you gonna take the car? There are no roads out of town.
Yeah, the polar bear is going to eat the car and then get back to you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that could be the case.
I like these ones. They have a chewy center, says the polar bear.
That's right, yes.
Crunchy on the outside, creamy on the inside.
Much smaller bears here in northern Nevada, but we did have a case a couple of years ago where someone had started their car up and left it to warm up. His truck, actually, a pickup truck. And they left it unlocked as they left it running. And a young bear somehow contrived to get into the truck.
Oh, no.
And accidentally, and the door closed behind them. Well, he figured out to get the door open, but he could not figure out how to get it from the inside. He got very, very unhappy, did not drive the car away. But by the time they got him out of there, the inside of that truck was toast. And I do not blame the bear.
No. In Winnipeg, you will see things like, pardon me, that's my medication alarm. In Winnipeg, you will see deer, raccoons, coyotes, squirrels, and rabbits in abundance. And if you're on the outskirts of the city, you might even see a moose. And trust me, you don't want to see those up close.
I did see that when I drove the Trans-Canadian once.
They're huge.
Even in your van, you don't want to have.
Yeah, in a car versus moose scenario, the car loses.
The car loses.
I lived in Finland for a year, and when we first left the place where I started, I got host father came pick me up. But we're leaving. I'm seeing these little warning signs, these little signs. They've got a moose silhouette on them. I looked over and said, "Oh, moose crossing signs," and he looked very seriously at me and said, "No. Moose warning signs," because they used to charge cars with something about small engines used to just set them off. But yeah, moose versus car is not good for either one.
No, I think, we do it, like I said, we get the occasional moose in Winnipeg, but that's more. Do you know what we do have though in Manitoba? We have wild turkeys, which do come inside the city, and we have wild boar. Manitoba has a wild boar problem in certain of the rural areas.
So both really tasty.
Well, I think
yes.
By the way, I just shared in the chat here Lisa's QSL card for her amateur radio usage, and that is her big orange van with her for scale. But even that would not want to take on a moose with that.
No, actually, one time when I was traveling with my mother up to Thunder Bay from Toronto, north of Superior, actually saw a guy who was able to get up and walk away from a moose accident. He was driving an 18-wheeler and his truck was demolished.
I saw an 18-wheeler with a moose guard. It looked about as big as my van. The guard.
The guard on yours is good for deer, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, no, it was undrivable, but he was able to get out of it uninjured.
I know that.
Here in Manitoba, or here in Winnipeg, I should say, Corridon Avenue runs between the Assiniboine Park, which is like a fairly cultivated, well-managed, sculptured area. It's very big. And then Corridon Avenue runs in between that and the Assiniboine Park Forest, which is one of the largest urban forests in Canada. And every so often, we will have a cyclist cycling along Corridon Avenue between the park and the forest, and a deer will come out of nowhere, run him right over, and keep right on going.
Yeah, deer, I have no problem with deer. It's mountain lions are less good because in where we are, where the deer go, the mountain lions will follow, you see.
Well, please know that if I am ever mauled to death by a mountain lion, my last words will have been, "Here, kitty, kitty."
Here, kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty.
We occasionally
deer kill a lot more people than mountain lions in the U.S.
They do actually.
We occasionally get moose and cougar that come in, and bears that come into the city because they follow the rivers. Yep. And then they are most frequently they are tranquilized and taken elsewhere. It's just tricky to try and corner a moose because they're actually very fragile if they've been chased around a lot.
So long, Mari. Mari is leaving us. Her internet connection is playing hex. So goodbye, Mari. Join us again soon.
So does Winnipeg run to outdoor sculpture parks of any kind? Is that a thing?
It is in winter. We have the Festival de Voyageurs in February, where the ice sculptures are the ice and snow sculptures, two different things, are a very big part of that celebration. But I'm not sure if we have, I guess it depends on what you mean. Like we have the Leo Mall Garden in Assiniboine Park, which is beautifully sculpted, like, trees and stuff, as well as actual sculptures by Leo Mall. But I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
My daughter is a big fan of three-dimensional art as opposed to, say, two-dimensional. So
you got to go to two places. The Kalmayuk, which is the Inuit Art Gallery, the largest collection of Inuit art in the world, is here in Winnipeg, in downtown Winnipeg. And the Leo Mall Sculpture Garden at Assiniboine Park is full of like you can look up Leo Mall Sculpture Garden online. It's Leo, and the last name is MOL. Leo Mall Sculpture Garden, Winnipeg, and you can see some pictures of some of the stuff they have to offer. I've done weddings in that location. It is drop dead gorgeous.
And you'll have to take her down Main Street if you bring her to Winnipeg and show her the trolley car.
Yep.
Sculpture. If you look up Winnipeg sculpture and trolley car, you'll see it, and it's quite amazing. It's to commemorate the 1909 general strike, where in order to prevent the cavalry from coming down the street at them, they turned over a trolley car onto its side.
The Manitoba legislature also has quite a bit of interesting sculpture within the building, not just within the building, but built around the building. So those are some good places to go.
You just have to be a little bit careful. Late August is, depending on what the weather's like up north, is we may have a number of Canadian geese wandering around. And
oh God,
they're so cute to look at from a
distance. They will hurt you.
They are so cool. They are so cute to look at. There is a legend. You know why Canadians are so nice and polite? It's because once every 6 months at the dark of the moon, we all get together and we perform an arcane rite in which we take all of our nastiness and rudeness and put it into the Canada geese.
We have Canada geese here in Madison, Wisconsin. You don't have to
tell
me about the geese.
Their nickname is the Canadian cobra chicken.
I do not like your Canadian cobra chicken.
Yes.
We get a couple pairs of Canadian geese breeding on Alcatraz every year when I worked out there as a park ranger. And they would get like ranger escorts through public areas, to try to prevent interaction between the visitors and the geese.
Yes, because the goslings look so cute, and their mama and their papa will take you out.
Yep.
If you get too close.
Like that.
The place I used to work spent quite a few thousands over the years buying specially trained dogs just to keep the Canadian geese off the parking lot.
Yep.
In Ohio.
Yep. Oh yeah, in Manitoba, if it's not the Canadian geese, it's the wild boars that'll get you.
Well, I think any place with wild boars has a wild boar problem. So.
Yeah, the Canadian geese have an extra helping of nasty.
Yeah. There are so many park areas inside the city, including the legislative grounds, that they are everywhere.
And the thing is, Winnipeg is green. It is so green. We have so many beautiful mature elm trees. We are one of the few cities in North America which so far has beaten the Dutch elm beetle. So we have beautiful streets just with overarching trees that are kissing each other with the branches all intertwined. It's really, really beautiful. So yeah, and there are a lot of little parks and stuff. Just in the downtown area of Winnipeg, just a bit north of the convention center, there's a beautiful little sunken Japanese garden that you can go into. And it's wonderful because for a while, the downtown disappears and you're just in this beautiful little Sylvian space. It's gorgeous. Lots of cool places to go. I did have a quick question for the bid committee members. Can you tell us anything about upcoming contests and other fun, fanish stuff that's being planned for the Winnipeg in 23 bid?
Oh yeah, we believe in interactivity with the audience as much as possible. One of the issues of being mostly a virtual sprint bid is engagement. So we're looking at possibly, because Winnipeg is the Slurpee capital of Canada, of having some form of extreme weather slushy beverage photo contest. We're also asking for those who were at Con Canadian, we'd love to hear your memories. And we've got, one or two more tricks up our sleeves, but we won't tell everything all because, you got to check back with us. Yeah, keep engaged.
The other question I had was, do you have plans for Winnipeg in 23 outreach in languages other than English?
That will depend on our volunteer base because Worldcon is very much a volunteer-based convention. So it's whoever offers us their linguistic capabilities and their availability. That is totally dependent on that.
That's about what I figured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Access related question, as long as we're talking about other languages. Do you plan on having any sign interpreters or captioning?
Captioning more likely than sign interpreters because, as we all know, sign languages are different in different languages.
Yes.
I mean, even between the Australian, the New Zealand, the UK, North America, they're all different. So caption is actually safer for us. And we will have captioning. We need to see what demand there is for it. For example, for Con Zealand, we actually had planned on captioning. We had the capability of captioning about, let me remember, about a third to half of the convention, but we didn't actually get the requests for it. Mm-hmm. So we are aware of the technologies involved as they keep evolving in this exciting world of pandemic. But yeah, that would be our major focus is to go for captioning.
Yep, and there are also, and by 2023, I'm sure there will be a lot more of these. There are programs you can get which will translate from your iPhone.
Right? There's the programs on the iPhones, but that's up to the individual.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that
you need simultaneous translators for those, for some of them, because I have been at the last Zoomtopia and I'm told that they did this before. they had, not only did they have fairly decent live captioning, but then everybody was speaking with basically a California accent where the voice database is. They also had simultaneous translations in different languages, but one of the drawbacks to it, as it was being executed at that time, is that you got bleed over sometimes. So I could hear really, really faintly the translation in another language, even though I didn't request it.
Okay.
So those technologies are developing.
Yeah, and again, that'll depend on how far the technology goes.
And affordability.
And affordability, yes. One thing that KeyCon has done, which is, and I'm trying desperately to remember the name of the program which they used. They basically put it's a program which basically it allows you to create a convention schedule with all the write-ups and everything, and it allows you to update it in real time. And people can sign on to it for free, and then they will carry, in a sense, they carry the convention schedule with them on their smartphone all weekend or a week long.
Oh yeah, we've used that for years. I mean, most of us who run large convention programs are most familiar with Grenadine, but there's a couple of other options there.
Okay.
And they do have mobile access.
It was new to me for KeyCon, and I just went, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I think at this point we're kind of expecting Worldcons to have some kind of app associated with them, whether or not it's something coming from somebody like Grenadine or something else.
Xanthia or the Canopus.
There are actually several Canopus and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys thinking about trying to do any hybrid events that are partly virtual?
Actually, we have a special suite within the convention center that is geared perfectly for virtual conferencing. I mean, to make it hybrid, because I believe, and I would have to double check, so do not quote me on this in terms of the specifics, but I believe it's called the Palladium Theater, and it holds a couple of hundred people. So you could have a hybridized piece of programming in there.
Yeah, the tricky part with doing hybrid for the panelists is it's very hard to do some panelists in present and some on virtual. So it's much easier to do all of the panelists are virtual or all of the panelists are there in person, rather than try and blend that on any particular panel. How do I put this? The pros aren't yet used to it yet. So they find it very difficult to do that sort of thing where one or two people are on virtual and other people are there.
I think just the practicality of it, you know, having been on a lot of physical panels and having been on quite a few virtual panels in the last year, if it's all virtual, that makes sense. It's easy enough to see and deal with. If it's all physical, that's easy enough to arrange. But I've not tried a hybrid, but I think that would have to be very difficult to execute.
A hybrid convention is very difficult to execute because if you're interacting with someone who's virtual, you have to have a repeater screen so that the panelists, the physical people, the physically present people can interact with them at the same time. And that drives the cost up tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we might be willing to settle for just some of the convention events can be streamed easily. So
yeah, I think
streaming
will be probably something we'll be looking into very close. Now that the technologies have matured because of the past year and a half that we've had, I think we need to look at it very, very closely should we win, because the costs the costs, I think, have come down tremendously since we last looked at it, because Chicago tried to do something like that, and the last Chicago Worldcon, and I don't know what they're planning to do this year. I doubt they're going to do it because it was a very big technical hassle.
Yeah, I haven't been on hotel committees, but hotels and convention centers often either historically have had either very limited facilities or extremely high prices for that kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah, they are. But the prices have come down such that retail or you know, almost residential can afford to look at it. And I say we're going to, because the price, because trying to replicate that at a Worldcon level would be tremendously expensive, but it's something we should examine and look at, I think.
Wait until you see my budget for robots.
You love it. But streaming ongoing events is certainly an option we should look into.
Yeah, because I mean, streaming is different from a hybrid virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Much easier.
Right. But the people labor, again, back to we're a volunteer group. It isn't just the technologies. It's when you do hybrid, you basically need anywhere from 50% to double the staff that you already have for a physical convention. And one of the dangers is running basically 2 conventions in parallel, because we really don't want that. We want people to feel like they're in a community, whether or not people are physically or virtually there. And that's a really tough thing to incorporate.
Yeah, also if you're doing a lot of streaming, that's a lot of stress on whatever AV staff you've got, so.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see streaming things like extravaganzas, right?
Well,
The big events, absolutely. And that has been the default for several years, even pre-pandemic, was that we would stream things like the Hugo Awards. But other events, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Now, in some cases, conventions have been able to stream things like Hugo Awards to associated hotels. I don't know if that's something that Winnipeg could do or not.
In terms of that's something that we could do. Okay, so a lot of hotels have internal television networks. The problem is how much they want to charge us for the use of. Because, you know, DragonCon has their own internal, they've got DragonCon TV. Millville, even back in 2000, had internal television. I mean, I remember watching.
Anthrocon has had it for quite a while too.
Yeah, you know, but again, it's the cost from the hotel for using it.
What I think has happened now is because of those challenges there, typically if your plan, it works out, if you have the ability to do so, the convention will be probably streaming its major events like that. Yeah. And if you've got the ability to watch it over your own computer in your hotel room or to plug it in, that sort of thing, you'd probably work out better than trying to plug it into any other network that way.
Yes, wireless and Ethernet connections are much more affordable.
There's a side point you're missing, and I think she got it earlier though, and that is the staff necessary to do it. The tech people to set the stuff up, to make sure it's working, to have it working, to all those little pieces. It doesn't just happen because you can stream. Someone has to be able to plug the junk in the first time at least, and maybe make sure it keeps working.
Yes.
Or in the case of the Hugo, it was easy because you already had a whole bunch of people running the cameras and the tech and all that. All you're doing was pulling the signal out. They were doing all the other hard bits already. Yeah. And you forget about the other hard bits and you're going to get in trouble.
Exactly.
That one, having talked with one of the people who has directed a number of those ceremonies, is that knowing it's going to go out that way though changes the way in which they direct the ceremony. Because the way in which you're telling the directions on what to display, it's not it's different for a broadcast than it would be for just repeating what's on the stage to the people who can't see the stage from the back of the room or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or recording for later.
Or recording for later, yes. In case people don't know, we actually we found the recording of the Hugo Award ceremony for '94, and Lisa digitized it, and we have put it's there on the Worldcon Events YouTube channel. The quality isn't as good as one might like for it's an old video recording, but you could go watch the Hugo Award ceremony, which to me is the one time I had to accept a Hugo Award, and I didn't know I was going to be accepting it until seconds before I did so, because I was one of only 2 or 3 people in that room as one of the administrators of the Hugo Awards that year in '94. I knew who had won, and I knew what an upset it was. It was Bob Eggleton, who had broken a long string of awards by
Michael
Whalen.
Yeah.
And Bob Eggleton's invitation and letter where we send people say, please designate someone, had apparently gotten mangled. And he hadn't really paid a lot of attention to it. And he said, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to win. Well, so he didn't designate anybody. And I knew that he hadn't designated anybody. And I didn't, but there was always the possibility that when his name was announced, that somebody who had been told he was to do it was going to appear. But they didn't. And so I waited. I was in the audience waiting for this. And when it was called, there was the applause. And I'm looking around. Is anybody getting up? I said, well, I guess it's me. And I walked up there and accepted his trophy for them. And they said, you're not Bob. And that was the year where Bob got so excited about it that he bought a ticket to Winnipeg that day and flew. And he flew to Winnipeg and we gave him his trophy the following night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Kevin, do you know of anybody who has the Masquerade from 1994?
I don't know.
Yes.
Do we have that one?
Yes, I can digitize that as well.
Oh, could you? Because I used to have the tape. I bought the tape.
I didn't.
And in a move, it was lost.
I can do, if you look at the quality of the Hugos, I can do that. I mean, it's a second generation tape and I can do the level best, but there's only so much you can get out.
Nope, it doesn't matter. I would be happy with anything. I would be happy with anything.
I will get to work on that. I hadn't done it because nobody said anything about the Hugos, and I thought, well, I'm not going to do more if nobody wants it.
All right.
So I'd be happy to. It's sitting right.
All right. Is it up there? I thought that was the Hugo tape. Okay. So I didn't know about that, and I was deputy chair. Lisa is our tech team, by the way. So I'm just the talent, you know. It's and sometimes the executive producer. So.
Lisa, do you want my Facebook link in the chat, or so you can get in touch?
She doesn't do email or any of that stuff. You send information to me. You may or may not have, but it's K.A. Stanley, Kevin Allen Stanley, but K.A. Stanley, SD. I'll put it in the link here, my email address. I don't care.
It's the same address that I gave you for talking about the voting, Laurie.
That's me.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Here, come on, Bert, you stay here and let me go check. I want to know what you are.
Go look for it. Would it be a problem if we mirrored that Hugo video on our YouTube channel?
I don't care. The recording, such as it is, belong to Canadians, so I don't see it being a problem.
Thank you.
As the head of the board for Canadian, I can approve that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I was just so mad because I paid for the tape and everything, and then we moved, and
it went
Gremlins, right?
One of the other things I liked very much about I can't guarantee how events will be run, obviously. I'm not even on that part of the order. I know how WSFS will work. That doesn't mean I know how the Hugo Award ceremony will work. I know how the WSFS administration will work because I've agreed to, if they still want me by that time, to run the WSFS division. But one of the things that I was very pleased about with the major events last time was we'd taken some advice, particularly because there had been some rather horrendous queues the following year, for which I am not proud, as I was on the committee for the San Francisco Worldcon as well. But the tech team did all their work. And, oh, hello, there we go. She has the tapes.
Oh my goodness, I'm looking.
Canadian highlights.
Oh my God, I am
There we
having
go.
a little, my heart is going pity, pity, pat.
And she has the gear for conversions.
I have a commercial grade VHS recorder player and a commercial grade for digital recorder, not a computer, but a dedicated recorder.
You know, I would be really happy to do something in exchange for you. Like I do custom name badges for science fiction conventions. I'd be happy to do one for you.
But if you all you have to do is want it. All you have to do is want it.
Take care of it.
I want it so much.
But if you don't see it soon, just keep pestering him because I'm sometimes blondish, but I like doing this stuff.
She does. She really does. That's why her niche in Worldcon fandom has been recording WSFS business meetings. It's because of her that we've been able to. People now assume, oh, well, you know, could I see the video recording of the 1972 WSFS business meeting? There are no recordings. There are no recordings.
They asked me for the 77.
You know, they assumed, well, you've always been recording it, right? No, not until Lisa and I started doing it. As a matter of fact, when we started doing it, people started complaining. We actually had to pass rules to make it explicit that yes, the business meeting can be officially recorded. Now, if you want to stop recording the meeting can vote to stop recording. It is highly unlikely they ever would do so, but it is possible. Anyway, the thing that one of the things I was particular about the major events there was that queuing is a bad thing. I know personally, I hate long queues. There are some people say, no, unless you have to queue up for 6 months in advance, it's not successful. You know, well, I don't go to Comic-Con, you see, so. With the tech team finished the setups for the major events and they went on their meal break and you open the doors an hour and a half before opening time of the event plus. And there were people, I remember specifically, there were some people who'd been queued up for the masquerade since like noon. And they were so disappointed when the doors opened so early because they couldn't lord it over the people who came after them. And yes. I said, I got no sympathy for you. Thank you very much. You know?
We kept telling people there will be lots of time to find a seat,
but they don't believe it, and we proved them. Yeah.
So, in the wake of Con Zealand, tell us about how you're planning to go about picking Hugo Award ceremony hosts if you win.
A little early for that kind of decision making, but I don't see. I'm not sure what you mean. Otherwise,
who's going to be the MC of the Hugo ceremony? You can't answer that question right now. Yeah, nobody can answer that question for their ceremony at this time.
Well, I'm not asking for names. I'm more asking like, do you have any theories about how you'd go about it, or is that too far in the future?
We would try to pick somebody who's amiable to listening to our directions and helpful advice.
Yeah.
Because we want them to look good. That's part of our job. That would be part of our job as a convention, is to make sure they look good.
And sound good.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, you have to strike a balance between, and there have been hosts who've been saying, I want to set a speed run record and we need to be out of here in like an hour and so on. Well, if that's all you want to do, why even hold the ceremony? Just post a list of them and say, okay, if you won, you can come pick up your trophy from ops the following morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one extreme, of course. And the other extreme is, well, we've seen some of the other extremes.
The ones that never end.
But there have been other similar extremes at earlier days in Worldcon history, interminable, back in the days of banquets and interminable speeches being held. This was before my time because there were Hugo banquets ended before I started attending in 1984. So actually just before I started attending, as I recall. But so you have to, the event has to be honoring people and entertaining. I know personally, I tend to think somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 hours is about the right length. Yeah, that's how I would do it.
I don't want to see something go beyond 2 hours, frankly.
No, definitely not.
No.
Then you hit audience fatigue territory.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you had to stay under 2 hours if that's all would fit on a tape.
There was
says the techie. Says the techie.
The techie, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course, it is a little longer than it once was because we have more categories than we had, and there's one more finalist in every category. So just reading the names takes time.
Yeah. It adds up. It adds up.
Yeah.
I've done award ceremonies. It adds up.
On a different topic, but still performance related, does Manitoba have much in the way of a folk music scene?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So can we look forward to a fairly lively folk track at a Winnipeg Worldcon?
Well, to give you an idea, the local folk community puts on a hospitality suite at KeyCon every year, and they have been doing it every year for the last, 8 or 9 years?
At least.
Where they do like nightly concerts and they like teach people how to play musical instruments, and they have, programming in the room. and also, you know, some programming outside it. But basically, yeah, they're very active. They're very cohesive, and there's a number of different groups in the city.
As a matter of fact, I think the Dust Rhinos came out of the filk scene in Winnipeg.
It did. It did. Ah, a new person.
One of our Kiwi friends.
Yeah.
Hello, Linnell.
Mute.
Linnell is muted, as is everyone who enters.
There we go.
Hello.
We go.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome.
Janie, do I have power to rename myself? Oh.
Let me check. You should. I mean,
no, I'm already my own name. It's
I mean,
right.
we can move you back to Con Zealand if you really want to.
No, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Are you going to be disoriented if your name doesn't say Con Zealand?
No, it's fine. I can deal with it, dear.
James was just asking a question about the filk scene in Winnipeg, and we were basically nodding our heads and going, yes, yes, there is a filk scene here.
As a matter of fact, one of our main filkers who runs the Filk Hospitality Suite at our local convention has been guests of honor at on Filk Ontario and a couple of other places as well, which is quite interesting because that means that we have to make special arrangements for him to go someplace because he is blind and therefore does require a little bit of extra effort, but he's well worth it.
Yes.
He's Filk's answer to Stan Rogers, I think is the best way to put it.
So do we have any other questions or comments?
Or you can get Linnell to sing for you. She's really good at what's the extemporaneous filks.
Extemporaneous filking?
Yep.
Extemporaneous filking. Yeah. It's the thing I do. I tend to make filks up on the spot. I'm good like that.
So if we get you and Tom Smith in a contest.
Well, Terry, on that note, do the bid committee members have anything else they would like to add?
Other than vote.
Go vote Winnipeg in 2023.
Encourage other people to vote also.
Yes.
Sign up for our updates.
Sign up for our updates. Subscribe to our Twitch channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also going to have some Discord socials as well.
And we have a Facebook, and we have a Twitter, and we have an Instagram if you prefer those social media forms.
And we also have a main website. So
yeah, with a blog on it.
Yep, with the blog.
Vote Winnipeg and vote Memphis second.
Well, speaking on behalf of the other Worldcon attendees who will probably be voting in site selection this year, I really appreciate you guys doing this because it's given me a lot more insight into Winnipeg and the bid. So thank you very much for doing this.
You're very welcome.
I can't guarantee I'll vote for Winnipeg, although it's highly tempting because.
Well, remember it's a ranked vote. So if you can't put us number one, please remember to put us at number 2.
What Janie said, exactly.
Yep, and James,
second place votes make a lot of difference in a multi-way race. I mean, seriously.
And with you guys in it, it's now a 3-way race. So
when I was on the San Francisco 93 bid committee, and that was a 4-way race. There were 3 bids on the ballot plus a very strong write-in bid from Hawaii. Nobody had a majority of the votes after either the first or the second round. It wasn't until Phoenix placed 4th of the 4 major candidates, and it wasn't until their votes were redistributed that San Francisco won. So your second place vote can make a difference. So
yes, it
consider your second, just like in the Hugo Awards. Always consider all your preferences very carefully because they make a difference.
Well, I'm not quite ready to promise that Winnipeg is my number 1 bid, but I can definitely promise you're one of my top 2. So
We're good with that. We're very good with that.
James, I just posted something in the chat for you. It is a YouTube video which will give you a bit of a flavor of Winnipeg as well. It's called Winnipeg versus Everybody. And there's two versions, one of which is the straight up rap version and one of which is the Bhangra remix. Basically, these songs were created for when the Winnipeg Jets came back to town. Winnipeg is a big hockey town and we lost the Jets for quite a while. And then we finally got them back, and when we did, people burst into song. So yeah.
For a period of time, they sort of semi-adopted San Jose until you got your own team back again. San Jose Sharks, my team, the San Jose Sharks, were adopted. Which, considering I'm an honorary Canadian, I said, okay, cool, that's great, you know.
But what's the most important reason for Winnipeg to win?
And that is, Lisa.
So Guma can go to Churchill.
To see forward.
Jenny, what are you?
Winnipeg Tourism has offered, if we have enough people interested, to run a tour from Winnipeg up to Churchill for a polar bear watching and back.
And believe me, that is an experience that is not to be missed.
Will that include the belugas?
I don't know.
I wish.
That time of year?
Winnipeg.
Yeah, good. Yeah, because that's during the shipping season, isn't it?
Oh,
August,
yeah.
maybe.
The Winnipeg Zoo has a polar bear exhibit where you can walk through a tunnel and the bears are swimming right over you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the Toronto Zoo has that too.
The Assiniboine Park Zoo is pretty awesome. Oh, and of course we have a planetarium with space-themed related shows, plus laser light shows that will take you right back to the 70s and the 80s. Pretty awesome stuff. Jenny, what are the two links you just popped into chat?
Winnipeg versus Everybody.
Oh, the two versions. Gotcha. Okay. I didn't recognize the YouTube code, which I should because I love those videos. But anyway, do the bid committee, is there anything else the bid committee members would like to say, or that, are there any questions from the non-bid committee members?
Questions? Anybody? You can throw it into the chat. You can raise your hand.
Yep. I would say that probably means that
we're done.
We're done. I'd like to say, Janny and Terry, would you say we're wrapping at this point?
I'd say so, yeah. Janie?
Yep, but I'm not wrapping your rap because I still haven't gotten the hang of it yet. She wrote a rap for us.
I wrote a rap song for the Winnipeg in '94, or the Winnipeg, man, I'm doing a time warp thing here. Zoom, Winnipeg in '23. So thanks so much, everybody, for attending our first Zoom social event. We will be holding another Zoom event tomorrow, Sunday, June 13th, 2021, starting at 1:15 p.m. Winnipeg time, CDT, immediately after our second Twitch TV broadcast, which is starting at 1 p.m. CDT.
Kevin, did you have something to say?
Yes, before you go, Lisa had something to say.
Thank you for making my day. Are you there? For wanting the videos. I'll get them as soon as I can. That makes me happy.
Thank you so much for making me so happy.
Okay.
So we're making each other happy. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Posters real soon. Within the week, I hope.
That I am not in a hurry. I am just so happy it's coming.
Well, it's been 30 years, so you can wait, a few more
I can wait a little while longer. 27 years, I can wait a little while longer.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
In that case, folks, I guess we're wrapping. Take care. Stay safe, everybody. And we will see you all again soon.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss a minute of the excitement that's coming up from the Winnipeg in 23 Bid Committee. For a truly stellar 81st World Science Fiction Convention experience, vote Winnipeg in 2023 for a venue that offers all the big city conveniences combined with the best of hometown hospitality.